there's so much advanced analytics we can do, and it would be real interesting to hear what people are doing, what tools they're using, what techniques they're doing, and just sort of kick things off, John Maurice and Sean are going to talk about something they actually did. And Felix, I invited him as well. He's done a lot of predictive modeling that I've seen that's really kind of cool stuff, and that's sort of a different animal from, and if you guys are analytics people, you know what I'm talking about, but if you're not, you know, analytics is one thing, predictive modeling is a whole step advance again in what's going to happen. And so I'll just turn it right over.
So maybe I'll just frame up a little bit. Jean-Marie has really done the lion's share of the work here, but about 2006, Jean-Marie and I started building this predictive analytics engine for 3M, and we were using customer sales, point of sales data, and looking at how we could be more effective at managing our finite resources with our sales and our marketing. So we built a target marketing and lead generation engine, and the tool that we were using for it was an SPSS product called Clementine at the time. It's now called Modeler. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. The counterpart would be SAS Enterprise Miner. You can do these tools. You can do these in less expensive tools as well, like Weka, open source, or R. It just takes a little bit more knowledge on how to actually do the data mining. But this is a cool application that's enterprise and scalable. Jean-Marie's really done some amazing work with what was kind of a crude framework that I developed, and he has turned it into a world-class tool. So I'll turn it over to Jean-Marie.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm French. I'm sorry, my English is not that good. Then, if you don't understand me, just ask. Okay. Well, I've been working for freelance for the past 20 years plus, and about 4 years ago, I met with Sean, and I moved. In fact, I was IT infrastructure, and I moved on the, let's say, BI, business intelligence area of. And now I work at the corporate headquarters, and I provide predictive analytics and advanced analytics for 3M worldwide. Well, the story is kind of interesting because Sean was working with me, or I was working with him at the time, I should say, okay? And he did introduce me to the world of the business, you know, I mean, business, widely speaking, okay? And in fact, the idea was to use predictive analytics and advanced analytics to find new business opportunities for 3M worldwide. Of course, the first thing you need is really to have the right data. Okay? No data means nothing. Okay. Then within 3M, what we do, we have our internal data, and we're also buying data from external companies like the MinneBar Street. And depending where you are in the world, okay, you will buy, if you are in France, some data for the French area from a French company, which one will provide the same kind of data than the one from DNB, the MinneBar Street. Okay. Then the idea is really to try to merge. Now, I mean, I will speak about, you know, what I have done since. Okay, I will tell you about what I'm doing today, what I know about today. Okay. A few months ago, I had an idea on how to merge, if you want, geospatial information and business data. I mean, really using the geographic information, if you want, and demographic information all together to provide some kind of battleground mapping technology, okay, for our business force, business people. And little by little, we're currently building something around, okay? The idea is really to provide a visual, graphical-based application, you know, main color-based, if you want, because I believe as a human being, okay, we are much more reactive to pictures than numbers. And with pictures, it's sometimes much more better than 1,000 words. Okay? Then today, in order to achieve, we have the data. For our data, we have a big computer called Teradata. Everybody knows about Teradata? Or okay, Teradata is a massively parallel database server. And we have a big one here. We have more than 250 amps. I mean, parallel processors and everything that is coming with. Okay? Then we can move millions of records in a blink of an eye like this. Okay, we have a big database server. We have the modeler from IBM that was introduced by Sean a few years ago in 3M. the modeler is based on a cluster of servers. Okay, it's a kind of client-server application. You design what you can see on the screen is what we call a program, a stream. Okay, it's a way you program your solution. Okay, if you want, for instance, here, okay, we are doing some kind of ETL. If you want, okay, moving data from data source, applying some kind of business logic. Okay, and then this inside, what you can see here is from everybody knows SQL. SQL, okay. This is SQL visual programming 101. Okay, you are building your SQL request using visual icons or nodes. Okay, but it can go much more. I mean, we can do much more than just, if you want, SQL visual programming. Okay. Then the idea is to use this kind of platform, if you want, to digest and to prepare the data that will be used. That will surface later using another piece of software that is called GIS, Geographical Information System, applied to business data. Then in fact, here we are taking data, we are merging data, we are messaging data, okay? And then what we can do some modelization process, okay? Like for instance, finding about customer, doing customer segmentation. Okay, you want to find affinities between customer and products. You want to find who within the zip code is doing something. Then you want to group your customers together, okay, in order to have some kind of homogeneity, you know, and then you can target them much better. Then in fact we have this platform, which one is called Modeler, which one is giving us the facility to digest the data, to analyze the data, and to generate some kind of models. Okay, and the model will be used for advanced classification, segmentation. We can use neural net. We can use C5 algorithms. In fact, we have a number of models, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. Okay, and you can use all of them in order to solve or to try to solve the problem you want to address. Okay. When you are done with, if you want, the data messaging, data generation, okay, and you get what you want at the end, okay, then you can go and you can use what we call geographical information system, okay. Here is a heat map. I won't tell you which business it is inside Tufte because I'm not authorized to say, okay.
One thing, I want to talk just a little bit about the size of the data. About 25 million rows of customer data here and about 1.4 million rows of sales data, give or take.
Yeah, well, in fact, I will adjust a little bit, okay? The customer data set that we buy from DNB is about 25 million of rows. Each row is a business within the US, I mean a company, a US company, okay? And we have about 184 columns or attributes that can be used for analytics. Inside Tufte, we have about 1.5 million of customers, and we are currently selling something around 60,000 different products. And not even speaking about company we own, but which doesn't wear the freedom flag. Okay? It is just a simple business. This one is an abrasive business. Okay? Sandpaper, you know, woodworking, body hardware. Okay? And this is based on, let's say, the density of dollar for our customer. From geographical point of view. Then you have what we call a heat map, okay? Then if you go here, for instance, okay, you do this, you zoom. Real time, we went to the database server, okay? And this is information about Auckland area, okay? And they say, okay, this is my map for my current customer, but I want to see them. And just for, this is a prototype, okay? This is not a finished product, okay, what I'm showing you. Just IDs put together, which one are currently moving inside Tufte, okay? Here, these are real customers. Interestingly enough, the map engine is a query engine. In fact, the idea is when you have this kind of view here, okay, this geographical area, okay, when you query, the query will will extract the data from the database using GPS coordinates from the frame. Okay, and you have the GPS coordinate of the upper left corner and the bottom right corner. Okay, and everything within this area will be returned. Okay, in fact, the map itself is generating the coding. Okay, and you can see, in fact, we have customers. Okay, we could even zoom. Okay, even more. Each time I zoom, we do issue a query against our MinneBar database server, which one is returning to us information. But we have also to get the mashup for the map that is shown on the background. Okay. Let's say now you would like to see, for instance, okay, I want to see if I could have some new customer within this area. Okay, and show. Okay, you see some dark dots. Those dots are potential new customers within this geographical area. Let's say you are a salesman, okay, and you are currently on your car, on the road, okay, and you have done your current customer, okay, then you still have a few hours to spend. Please give me some ideas of what kind of things I could do, what customer I could contact, what kind of companies there is within this area. Of course, the final product will probably provide things like radius. Show me my current customers. Of course, show me customer at risk using a churn code. Churn code are mainly used to, it's a way to rank your customer and to know whether the customer buying habits is changing. The customer is not buying as much as before on your company. Why? Then we can merge this kind of information and show to the salesman, okay, what he could do, giving him ideas, Okay, of course here, if you want to know more, what you can do is to analyze the current geographical area, okay? So a little bit of code here, but you will see.
So let's go through. So the opportunities for non-customers are based off of segmentation profiles of the current customers and looking at the purchase patterns they have, and then we're weighting actually how much a customer like this in this segment would purchase of this product if they were to be close to the mean of customers very similar to them. And then we could use that to prioritize. So if you had 1,000 opportunities of non-3M customers in your territory, but you only had 50 that were worth over $10,000 in purchase opportunities or customer lifetime value, you could go and get those ones first if you only had a couple of days to spend on that territory. So it allows you to be a lot smarter with your time and territory management.
How much do you need in each territory to provide decent predictive capability?
Well, the actual segmentation profiles aren't based on territory. They're based on customers' behaviors.
Okay.
So it's behavioral analysis, and
So you're saying
it's segmentation.
segmentation, regardless of wherever they are in geography.
Right. There might be micro-segmentation within a geography. So if you're in the northwest, your purchase behavior is much different than in the southeast.
Yeah.
So there's some overlay there.
Okay.
And the model, there's still a lot we can do with the model to really get into that total micro-segmentation.
Yeah.
But at the high level, it's doing a really good job of showing us where our opportunities are. One of my favorite stories, a sales rep said he didn't have this opportunity to grow his business $4 million. And he was disputing what the data was telling us when we first started doing this. And we looked at the opportunity in his territory, and it turned out to be a foundry. And this foundry had an opportunity for $2 million worth of safety. And the guy said, oh yeah, our competition took that business from us 3 years ago. Well, I just laughed because, first of all, the sales rep said there was no opportunity in my territory. His district manager was getting mad at me for the analytics, and we turn around and we show him right where that opportunity is because we haven't sold to him in over 3 years, right? And so I was just looking at year-over-year trending. And as it turns out, he was a safety rep, but there were 4 other product families that could be sold into that for another $2 million. So we have a $4 million opportunity sitting in this guy's backyard, and being the type of farmer salesman he was very complacent with what he had. He didn't want to go back and capture what some aggressive sales rep took from him. And if you're in sales, that's horrible. So it was really cool, but it was based all on that type of profile.
Cool.
Okay, remember before we had a map, which one was a zoom on a specific geographical area, okay? What we have done, we just open another window, which one is analyzing the content of this map, of this geographical area, okay? And then we can extract and say, okay, these are new target opportunities, new businesses, okay, that you could visit, okay? And of course, we are able to analyze what I have done. In fact, we use the zip code, okay? The first three position of the zip code, okay? Then we have the full zip code. Then you have a code. This code is the next code. I don't know if you know what next code is all about. Next code is a way that is used by the US government to define the industry segment you belong to, okay? And there's about 1,000, probably 500 different next codes in the US, okay? Then you could know pretty quickly, okay, which segment this potential customer belongs to, okay? And then of course, if you have a bit more analytics, okay, you could probably find within them some customers who they belong to the same segment, same industry, okay? Then you can start to profile and to match and probably to come with some kind of, if you want, market basket of it. If you belong to the same industry, okay, then what you can do is really to provide and to propose the same kind of products, okay? But here the idea is really to use geographical information much more deeper than everything that was done until now by 3M, and to provide to our salespeople, but also to our management, okay? Another way to look at the 3M business and the business we do worldwide. Really looking at, merging all together, okay, why do we have within this specific area this amount of product? You can see product penetration real time. You can correlate product and demographic kind of populations, You can do many things, really. And for instance, we are currently also looking at, using much more advanced spatial queries to find the gap between channel partners, to find, area where we do not really have enough tractions, or just looking, okay, why does our customers prefer this one versus this one, but from graphical point of view. Here, if I go here, for instance, okay, you will see the map will go here like this, okay, and you can, using map technology, it's just a little example here, okay, you can show, just by hovering your cursor on top of this little icon, you can show information. But we can do much more. You can say, okay, from this point, find the closest channel partner or the closest salesperson, real time, okay? Then we can really, it's just up to your imagination, creativity, in order to use this kind of product, this kind of technology. And I think if you have questions, or it's a big subject, okay? It's not that simple at first, okay? You must have everything from your database server to some kind of technology to prepare the data, to do advanced analytics, and then you must have a technology to surface the data in the way that you want. If you are a salesperson on the road, if you have a smartphone, okay, you want something that will be easy on the smartphone, easy to use. Show me my current customer, based on where I am now. Show me my customer at risk. Show me what I could do between this point and my home. Tonight when I will go, maybe I will stop by to try to find some new business because it's on my way. And there's many ways to approach this kind of things, and it's really up to the creativity and how your company is aggressive enough using new platform, new technology, and company new ideas as well.
To your last point, is it targeted mostly at sales forces, or is that just an example you're using this? You tend to use it a lot of planning at the head office, or?
It's designed to be flipped on its side. I mean, not this app right here. I could see it being used for the same thing, but the way we designed the analytics in the first place was to help marketing look at their opportunities as well. So if you think about the sales rep as that one touch point with that end user consumer, but if you aggregate everything, now you've got trending for your product mix. and you've got opportunities to show where you could grow your product mix and where you might spend your resources for channel marketing or DMA, advertising, working with Google Analytics to target those markets by search words, driving people to our own store or where to buy. So it really has some great flexibility in the model, but it's really just trying to find where we have opportunity to sell, and that is across the board, all the way up to executive plan. It could be.
If you want, the idea is only to provide a mobile solution, okay? But you can use this as a strategic tool. If you want to show to your board of management, okay, your manager, okay, something, then you bring this kind of application, big screen, you know, and you run the show.
And so how do you imagine it being used by a group of experts? Do you want to put this in many people's hands in the organization?
It has to be, the features available, okay? They have to be sized based on the people need, okay? Probably a salesperson doesn't require, as much feature, maybe few, maybe 3, 4, 5 maximum, okay? But if you are a business analyst, high level, and you work for a large corporation or even a business which one is, growing all over the place, then you can bring much more features in terms of analysis, okay? You can do geographical analysis, okay? But at the end of the day, it's really how do you merge, demographical data, environmental data and business data together to make sense, okay? Because you want to get some, return, you want really to understand. It's a tool, giving you some, way to understand your market. But from a point of view that is maybe a little bit different than standard reporting, we have reporting tools like business objects, Colios, MinneBar, ClickView, whatever, okay? This is another approach, which one can be used by many different, to solve to help to understand things. It's really a kind of, visual way to understand your data better, because look at an Excel spreadsheet, okay, or just graphs, okay? Sometimes it's difficult to wrap your mind around, and I don't know for your companies, but sometimes we have been asked to pack a screen with a lot of information, but about a certain amount of information is difficult to apprehend and to understand, okay? Then providing something where you can put behind, satellite imaging, or street level imaging, you can really do a lot, with this kind of technology. Let's say your company needs to take some decisions for some customer delivery, and you need to know about, the railway. How far are the warehouse from the railway station? If you have trucks, and put behind as well, GPS technology with real-time tracking, it's really depending on your business, but you can really do a lot.
So the territory management, we had a project that we were working on in about 2004, where we were looking for opportunities for our industrial group in Los Angeles. And they were actually trying to figure out if they should move their sales reps from North Los Angeles to South Los Angeles. And then for those of you that have driven in LA, that's like a 2-day trip. It could be, right? So you're going to see one customer a day if you're going to be in San Diego and you're going to drive north. So what we looked at is all the opportunities of current customers, and we looked at all the opportunities of non-customers, and we actually created a targeted territory management, and we optimized where we placed those reps, where they lived, and we generated more business, incremental gains. So it's amazing. Jean-Marie's absolutely right. You're only limited by your creativity as to what you can do with this type of thing. But the basis of it is customer analysis. End user customer analysis, not your distribution partner customer analysis, but the people that actually consume your product.
Jean-Marie, have you tried to introduce like timing components that maybe the salesperson can see visually on time, last month, by month, how the sales have grown, that sort of thing? Have you done any of that stuff?
You are thinking like, okay, I have my timeline on a movie, okay, and I want to be able to replay how things move over time. Yes, I was speaking with Sean a few minutes ago about this, having the possibility to rewind time, and it's okay. What color, where's the map, probably a month ago, okay, how things move, and then you can start to have a timeline and you can see the movie, you can replay the movie. It's really, from a technological point of view, we can do it. If you have the data, okay, data is key. If you don't have the data, no way. But we have a lot of data inside Shugen, a huge amount of data. And this is something that we can do, of course.
And another question unrelated. Where do you get your driving route so you can...
Here, okay, the component I'm using here, okay, is embedded inside the salesman problem.
Yeah,
Algorithm, okay?
Right.
Then you say, okay, point A, point Z, all the steps in between, find the closest path. Then yes, we have. Okay, we could even do what UPS does. Or FedEx. They know the truck. They never turn left, only right turn, because they don't want to wait on the signal. Okay, and they have saved a ton of gas over the year just doing this.
Pretty cool. So now we're doing similar, not this geospatial mapping yet, but we're doing similar types of analytics at Medtronic with patient devices. So our devices actually read what's going on in your heart. It's doing feedback of the settings, how you're responding to therapy, and it's beaming all that information back to us on a monthly basis, and we're able to optimize therapy recommendations back to the doctors. And we're looking at it on a geographic basis. We're saying, are there some areas in the country that are not responding to therapy the way they should be? Is there a technique that a specific university might be teaching these docs that their left heart lead placement for a CRT-D device needs to be modified? We have to change our product development using similar types of analyses for our end users, and visualizing it in a tool that is not like this, but it is very visual. And I would have to agree 100% with what Jean-Marie said. I've been in the middle of so many analytics projects in my career, and the death knell or the nail in the coffin for all those projects was a bad UI. People look at that UI and they say, well, I can't make it work, so the underlying analytics must be crap. And in essence, the underlying analytics could be absolutely world-class, but if you have a .NET application that breaks every time you turn it on, your end users don't know what's going on, and so they just assume that that's the case. So the strong visualization is really where everyone needs to be focusing in the future for analytics.
In fact, the idea is really to look at what the military technology is about today, okay? They have a pretty good view of the battleground, Then if you can use the same kind of approach for your business, let's say your business is war, you are at war, okay? And the battleground is a country or your geographical area. Then you have to know how to move your components, like moving, a squad or whatever. It's like managing an army, Your salesperson, they are a soldier, okay? And you want to win battles, and battles are winning new customers. Then having the right tool to visualize, how the battles are doing, okay? Are they doing well? Then it's really something that is model making. If it's well done, you can really make a lot of money just doing this.
So I'm a BI developer, and I'm curious what technologies you're using and how you decided to use them. Decision factors.
Well, we started with SPSS Modeler, but that's the development of the actual applications. Going back to the assessment of the tools, I start with Gartner's research as my foundational secondary research, because they've done all the primary research, so I go for the top box for all the products that are in that space for what I want to develop. And I come to that decision based off of voice of customer research internally of what my stakeholders need. And in 2005, we kicked off a PAN-3M analysis of what our baseline capabilities were and where our gaps were, and what was real, what we could win with, and if it was worth it to do it. So just because we could do it, should we do it? That was our baseline to figure out, okay, now we understand what we need to do. Now, who are the key players in this space? And then we came up with the top box, and then I went out just to the fringes of the top box for the Magic Quadrant. And for those of you who don't know, Gartner, they're a research company in the tech space, and they interview tons of customers that use these tools, and they get feedback, real honest and open feedback about how these platforms work, and they do additional research to say, you know, what's going on in the space, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths. So we came up with 4 final tools, and then we had a bake-off, essentially, and just say, hey, how does it work in our environment? We've got a very complex IT environment, and we wanted to make sure that we had representation from all of the stakeholders that would be touching this. So we had IT infrastructure, we had, I don't even know, there are people I never even knew we had working for us that were on the team as we're assessing. We're using a Six Sigma DFSS new systems introduction methodology to make sure we're taking all the steps for that process introduction. And I was the business team lead on that. So I was in corporate marketing, and then I partnered with IT to bring in the solution. We drove the usage, built the use cases, and then IT supported us for the introduction of the tool set. That's at a high level what happened.
One more time, okay? The tools are important, but the most important part is the skills.
Yeah.
You know? And today with that is more, SaaS as a base, okay? We will more, if you want, modular IBM. But you know, when you have to use to design a segmentation, customer segmentation, or if you want to project something, the tool is just a mean to achieve. What you have to know is which process you have to use to achieve it, to solve the problem. And by knowing, in fact, you know, when to use C5, Neuronet, or whatever, well, it's much more important than knowing the tool. I mean, the tool is just a mean to achieve. That's why I'm very much, you know, I like the idea to be two neutrals, if you want, okay, agnostic, okay, and then you can pick up the tool you need to surface or to achieve your building your solution, okay. But it's much important to have the skills. And skills are key.
People first, process second, technology third. That's the order of our development. And you can't do it without those 3. Because you're right, you can spend great money, a lot of money on great tools. And if you don't have the people that make it work, then you just got an expensive arsenal of tools.
When you start designing your visual, when you start considering your visual paradigm, how many iterations did you go through with your internal analyses and maps before you settle on what you came out?
So that's Jean-Marie's space.
When you started considering your visual paradigm, how to represent the information, how many iterations of internal testing, usability analysis did you go through before you settled on what you know today? Or no, the better question is how much did that really cost you in dollars?
Okay, this is my free time work after my job, okay? And I brought this to when I was done with the little prototype, and I demo the idea. Because it's just it's for yesterday, okay? You know, right now, okay? But it was at first more an idea that I had my mind for some time, but I never had the time to put things together, you know, I mean to try, okay? And the main issue for me was the mapping technology, okay? Finding a map engine which one was giving me enough flexibility to do what I had in my mind, okay? And when I found this, okay, it was not a long time ago, you know, 4 weeks ago, okay? I said, okay, let's do it. And I built a little prototype using data coming from customer analysis, you know, and business opportunities and so. And I surfaced the data using the tool. And because we are lucky, we have the GPS evidence, okay, within our data sets, okay. Then the tool was just great, and people, when they saw it, they said, ah. And because it's just up to our creativity, if you want, after that, on how to use it, and on how to surface the data, because you can do what we call visual analysis, okay. When you have, you know, mapping like this, okay, you have the map as a background, you have layers and overlays. Each layer is a container, okay, which one is containing coordinates, okay, but much more. The map is a database, the map is a query engine, okay, and you just go back to the database server if you want to extract business information. But the map is a query. The map on its own is a new way to question your database.
We had a very similar process for analytics too. That we started a prototype with SQL Server, some fancy SQL coding, and an ODBC pass-through into a pivot table in Office 2000 using Excel as a viewer. So that, and getting rid of all of the grid lines so it looked like a tool, right? And so I presented it to my VPs and they said, we need this. And I said, yes, we do. So give me some development resources.
There's a step between you showed them, you allowed them, and they said, we need this.
Yes.
And the actual usability of it, we actually have users sit down and see how effective the tool is.
Yes.
Have you done that yet? And if so, how long will it take you to do that?
We have a proof of concept that is starting right away, and we provide an Android phone if you want, okay? A light web-based application which one will leverage on the mapping technology to give to our sales people, okay? Possibility to, of course, to analyze based on where they are, okay? What they have to do on a daily basis. I mean, current customer at risk, new business opportunities, product penetrations, I mean, and also, of course, routing, okay? But it's interesting if you want. I mean, when you have an idea, sometimes you have to ready to work with your idea. Because sometimes I can be pretty good, but my problem was not finding the right platform. Okay, but now think on. I'm lucky because within 3 and okay, we have a very nice Teradata system. Okay, just do the 250,000 of data points within the map engine. How long it takes? The 250,000 of data points just to go there and to display them. Fair number, I mean, yes. How long it should take? 10 seconds, 1 second, 1 minute? Okay, 250,000 in less than 2 seconds. When you have this kind of tool available for you to play with, you can really start to think much more broader and much more deeper than before.
25 seconds. 25, not for 25 minutes, 5 seconds. It's fast.
If you got the juice,
Yeah, right. But it's funny because when you think about it, you can do this on a dime, and a lot of the prototyping work is done on a dime, but then you do have to scale.
yeah, and it's that last,
Yes.
essentially, what I've struggled with is users have seen it, you route them, and now they say, okay, but I need this and that, and we get that. I said, sure. Cohesive architecture prioritize it with functional use. That's what the times become dollars.
They become a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
They really do.
And then at some point, then somebody comes and says, really, what am I getting out of it that I can get out of Excel sheet? I'm back to square one.
Well, so, yeah, right. And I think the biggest key is to make sure that you have some stakeholders that you engage that are getting real return on investment value out of this. And that's what we started with for the proof of concepts and the prototyping. And we partnered with people that had serious needs. We had one business unit that was losing $18 million a year in customers. And this was one business unit out of the 52 businesses. And that's kind of where the global tool kind of took off from. And we identified billions of dollars worth of business opportunity. And we partnered with the business unit that needed that business the most. And we got engaged with them and we did projects. The UI was developing over the years, and the UI, I think, in our infancy was one of the weakest things. The analysis was fantastic for its time. And more often than not, we had to extract it directly off the server because the UI couldn't handle all of the data.
So on an academic note, how did you go reference that?
Reference Tufte? I actually didn't get introduced to Tufte until I joined Medtronic. I wish I would have. But yeah, so
How many people know who a Tufte is?
yeah, when I started at Medtronic, I said, I really need to do more about visualization. And my boss said, well, there's a Tufte seminar. So the last one I was in town.
For the people that don't know,
So Tufte is a big advocate of data visualization. And essentially kind of the same thing John was saying, trying to get as much information as you can into that visualization. Hates PowerPoints. Yeah, right. And this is a funny thing. So now in my current environment, our executives are starting to become enlightened to the power of analytics and visualization. And And one of our sales calls, one of our senior executives brought a PowerPoint presentation on her iPad that had metrics about the customer that we were seeing. And they thought that that was the coolest thing they've ever seen. And I thought, wow, PowerPoint.
But you know what?
But that's where we are.
Something I like, okay, when you show an iPad, okay? Sometimes there is a Chinese proverb, okay, when the wisdom man shows the moon, the idiot looks at the finger. Okay? You know, gadget, it's a gadget, widget, iPad can be sometimes, people focus on the technology, iPad, okay? But the content is secondary to none. But it is the opposite, okay? The content is main.
So this discussion brings up a question for me is what is developing this? What were you all using?
Well, before, every big company today, okay? Whatever company, you do reporting.
Right. Business objects was the big one, and click views on recording.
Crystal reports, business objects, ClickView, Cognos reporting.
But mainly we're running billion-dollar businesses in Excel.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are. 3M,
If it
Medtronic.
works.
Well, it doesn't really matter how cool it is, because most users are going to take that stuff and extract it to Excel anyway. Once you get your target audience, and they're going to work off of Excel for their business. But something like this, you get it into your smartphone. There's no empty to Excel or export to Excel. And you just manage your business.
But one more time, it's really depending on the problem you want to solve, okay? I was asked for what we call succession planning, okay? Finding new scientists or scientists to replace our top scientists inside QA, okay? And the HR, they had a file, okay, which one was, okay, made of 85 different attributes. Well, no way for them to be able to find, match, in order to be successful, you have to use what's called fuzzy logic. Okay? Excel, no way. You have to be realistic, okay? And they come, and I was asked, and I was able to provide them because they did check what I was providing using their expert, and said, okay, find the right people. Okay? But think about, okay? Not so many rows, probably 6,000 as an input data set, a single row for building models, because single row, okay, and then you have to use fuzzy logic, to find potential match and even error. I was looking at the error because the error was a model making mistakes, okay, and finding something that wasn't ready but close enough for me to be successful.
Are there any analytics problems or challenges anybody's trying to solve right now?
Implementing them.
What's that?
Implementing them. That's always a challenge.
The biggest thing is to first of all, get projects with key stakeholders, and I don't touch a project now if I don't have an executive sponsor. You follow Davenport's rule of thumb for building all of your project.
Explain it, Davenport.
So Tom Davenport, for those of you that don't know, for me, it's the Bible of analytics. Competing on analytics and analytics at work. If you're in the analytics space, I highly recommend that you read those books. And then how to measure anything. That one's critical too, because you've got to be able to measure results, right? And if you've got a return on investment, that's an easy one. But how about return on activity? Everything you do might not be tied to a dollar, but it might be incredibly important to your business. So being able to understand what your baseline is and then show an improvement. Have a control group in some cases where you've got your skeptics and say, okay, we can't completely prove that what we did moved the needle, but I can disprove about 99% of all the things that happened with this control group that made that needle move. And you get the most vocal stakeholders engaged. And then you use them to shame everybody else. And I'm not kidding. You say, how is it that this ragtag organization with this guy can blow you guys out of the water with all of these resources? And then they're just like, I don't know. Why aren't we doing this? That's how it works. That's how it really works. That's how you can turn these things into sustainable projects. But you have to get a lot of them. And it takes time. It's not an overnight deal. But that's a great way to get people engaged and implemented, because then they go with the money.
I missed half the thing, and that totally sucks because this sounds like I should have been here. A challenge we face in doing largely geographic analytics in the sort of BI context. Everybody wants to measure everything by zip code, and they think zip code is like the gold standard for measuring demographics data and everything. The trouble I'm always faced with is trying to convince people that that is not always, that's an easy way to, a lot of data is available by that as a sort of legacy result of direct mail marketing. But how do you change the mindset of people that you can't just attach data to a zip code?
I love the geocoding, because if you change to geocoding, then all of a sudden you can tie it into a smartphone app. You pull into a geocode, and all of a sudden you've got this radius that pops up around your location. Now, it's kind of hard to do that with zip codes, because you got to build all that logic into zip codes. Geocoding.
You have to, if you have your customer database, I will really tell you, okay, try to get the GPS coordinates of your customer. Because this will show you a much more accurate picture of who they are, what kind of product penetrations you have, and probably sometimes they cover more than one zip code. And if you deal with partnership, or you have a reseller or whatever, okay, then you will see how everything is interacting on the ground, and you will be able to visualize, okay, interactions between your product, your customers, your channel distributor, your salespeople, let's say when you see something, where you have a lot of, attritions, okay, well, sometimes just looking at the number, people, they don't react if you want, okay, but when you start to show the map, okay, and you know that here, here, and here, these are the location of your current salespersons, okay, physically speaking, okay, and you see visually on the map, okay, that your customer are going up, down, or are not doing very well, then you can start to say, is it the products, salespeople, what's going on here, okay, but it's much more, the impact of the visual is much more, we perceive perceptions, okay, it's much more stronger when you have a visual.
Can you explain to these guys how you use the Google geocoding to extract the batch extraction?
You can get from Google, it's not that difficult, okay? You have to get a key from Google, okay? There is a free keys available, okay? There is some limitations, of course. But you can just provide your address, okay? And you will return automatically the GPS coordinates from you based on the address you provide. And if you have a table or a data set with your customer addresses, okay, you can probably ask your IT people, okay, to connect and to extract GPS information for each of your customers. And then, when you have this, the fun begins, honestly.
As you do batch extraction.
Yeah, have you done anything with fusion tables, Google Fusion tables?
Yeah, whatever. You just have to script it. It's a code, okay? It's an API from Google, okay? And when you will use the API, you will provide the input, and you will get back, in fact, the GPS coordinates. But you have to be sure about your address first. That's something that you always be garbage.
It's largely, it's not so much, we've got locations and we do the geocoding of the business's own data. It's the other metrics that they're comparing it against, that demographics or purchasing power is delivered in the form of zip codes. And
Right.
again, there's no good reason for that other than that's the root of how those.
If you have a mapping engine, okay, and these are layers and overlay, okay, each layer is a container, okay, and if you have your customer population within the US, okay, then you can plug on top different overlays, okay, it could be demographics, could be product penetrations, could be zip code, could be county, could be your own sales territory, okay, and then you could query based on those shapes what's inside, okay. Then you can extract in a much better way, even if the shape is not a square or rectangle, okay? And you can extract information that will span different zip code, county, states, okay? And this gives you much more power to see and to understand and to analyze.
Are you getting your external data in aggregate format, or are you getting it at the individual household data set?
So it's typically it's like commercial data sets that they'll purchase.
So you have 300 people in the zip
GFK
code.
is a big
Yeah.
data producer, and so they've got their purchase power data sets, and one of the forms in which they deliver it along with the shape file data is that information tied to the zip code.
I'd ask them if they could get household data, or if that data that you're getting is extrapolated from a sample.
But I
It's
think
probably
even like,
sample data.
at least in the U.S. this year, with the 2010 census, they've not even these zip code tabulation areas, which, I mean, part of the root of the problem is that zip codes are not areas, they're routes. And so these zip code tabulation areas are sort of inferments of what the population probably is to the best of their ability. But you look at anything that, like the census website says, these are not zip codes. So if you're going to use this to send people stuff in the mail, that's one thing, but be mindful of.
If you want to analyze, it's really more of a geospatial. You will have to use advanced technology for geospatial queries, to find, a centroid, okay, for something, to find distance, and how far you reach, who is within this area, and then you will start to join, to see intersections, to see where things are currently, gap, But this can be done. It's not that difficult. I mean, when you have the data and when you use this kind of technology,
Or do you build a proxy, some sort of proxy to figure out how you embed that syndicated data into your more sophisticated analytics based on your customers. And then you just have to bridge the gap. I'm doing that with some syndicated data right now, and our self-reported share data and hospital data and delight data, and merging all these data sets together to build a representation of where I think our share is and where we have opportunity for growth, and where we should need to be playing. And it's ugly. There's not a good way around it. There will be once we define that process and make it formal, because then we'll have done all the work and building. But taking those disparate data sources that don't really match up well, leave gaps in your analytics.
We're out of time.
We are.
So
So we're between you guys and cocktails.